This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CashFly.
Today on Know-How,
it's the tech that we want for this summer.
Welcome to Know-How. It's a Twitch show where we build, bend, break, and upgrade. I am Father Robert Balaser.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And for the next however many minutes it takes, we're going to be giving you the knowledge, like a kill of knowledge that you wear and soaks up the knowledge and turns it into tremendous powers and
like
force.
We're sponges waiting to absorb the knowledge? Is that it?
Basically, yeah.
That's kill.
No, kill a kill.
Kill a kill.
You've never heard of kill la kill? Okay.
Should I have?
Look, it's on Netflix. Watch one season and go, wow, the Japanese are weird.
One season of what?
It's an anime.
It's called Kill La Kill?
Kill La Kill.
Kill La Kill.
Kill La Kill. Carly knows what it is. She's pretty cool.
Damn. Well, if Carly knows about it, I should know about it.
Now, folks, we're not here to talk about Japanese animation. We're here to tell you.
Can we, though? Please?
Yeah, no, that's a different show.
Okay.
We're here to talk about some of the tech that we're looking at playing with over the summer. Brian, this is the start of the fun season. You know, we're still working, of course, but
yes, because if there's one thing that nerds love, it's the sun, right? Being outside, not inside at all.
You know, I don't see what you're trying to say there, Brian. I mean, I think our audience is they're pretty outdoorsy, really.
All I'm saying is, if you weren't Filipino, you would not be at all.
Wow. Rude.
I'm just saying, I'm pale, and I go outside every once in a while.
Okay, well, if you do or don't, we've got tech. We've got fun stuff that you can play with, even if you don't ever see the light of day. Starting with this. Now, Brian,
what?
I had the previous version of this. This is the FLIR infrared camera for an Android phone. They also have this for iPhone.
They've been around for a little while, right?
They've been around for a very long time. FLIR was known for its military contracts. They made the heads-up displays and the infrared cameras that allowed like Apache gunners to see in pure darkness.
And predators, right?
And predators, yeah. Predator vision.
As long as you don't have a weapon, you'll be okay.
Right, exactly. But what they've done is they've allowed people to have, I'm not going to say military grade, but military derived technology at a cost that you would never have thought. I mean, I've seen cheap sensors before. Cheap sensors are typically regular sensors, CMOS or CCD, and what you do is you remove the IR cut filter. And that's a little filter that all of these cameras includes so that you don't get spectrum that you don't want to see. I mean, imagine if you took a picture with your SLR and every time you took a picture, there was like a halo around the thing that you wanted to take a picture of because there was sunlight reflecting on it.
I wouldn't want that.
It would not be good. So we typically remove that. Well, what a lot of the cheap IR cameras will do is they'll remove that layer, so that's what you do see. Well, that's not real IR. That's near IR. That's reflected IR.
Right.
This will actually allow us to see emitted IR, which is quite different.
Okay, and it's a pretty small package there,
Super small package, and they, you know, between $200 and $400, depending on which version you want, the regular or the Pro. It's got its own little battery, and it's got 2 image sensors. Now, you shouldn't listen to me. What you should do is listen to one of the people who actually helped to bring this product to market, which is why we had to sit down with the people from FLIR. They actually came into the studio and told us all about the FLIR One.
Hey, know-it-alls. We're here for a deep dive on a topic that you probably think you know about, but really you have no idea. I'm speaking with Rebecca Potter. She is a product manager at FLIR. Rebecca, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Hi, glad to be here.
You've got some interesting tech down in front of us from FLIR. Of course, FLIR comes from forward-looking infrared, but you are the premier company creating technology to see in other spectrums.
That's correct. Yes, we've got our lepton sensor here with us and our new FLIR One Pro product that I'd like to show you today.
The lepton sensor is right in front of me. This tiny little thing that, well, I have no other way to describe it than small. This is an incredibly small sensor, and this is custom for FLIR. This is not an off-the-shelf piece of silicon. You actually designed, you created this technology, you created the process. This is not CMOS, this is not CCD. Tell me a little bit about lepton.
Correct. So FLIR has made infrared cameras for a number of years, and a few years ago we wanted to miniaturize it down into the same size as the CMOS cameras have gone to for smartphones. So we went under the development process of making the Lepton camera, which we have here in front of us. And then that camera we've embedded in our new FLIR One product that is combined with a visible sensor to give our MSX image, and you can see it here on our product demo.
One of the things I've seen done in the past couple of months when people sell IR devices is they're taking a CMOS sensor or they're taking a CCD sensor, and then they just remove the IR cut filter, which is normally there to keep IR from bleeding into the picture that we see. Why can't I just do that?
Well, you can, and you'll see near IR. So that's a part of the infrared spectrum that's right next to visible light. But what our sensor does is senses infrared energy that's down in the 7 to 14 micron wavelength, down closer to microwaves. So we're seeing a different type of energy. It's emitted energy as opposed to reflected energy.
Okay, so when I see near IR, what they're really saying is I'm seeing light that's reflected. It's just light that's not in a visible spectrum.
Correct, correct.
And what's the difference between reflected IR and emitted IR?
It's a difference in the wavelength. So the wavelengths are actually all around us, right? All sorts of electromagnetic energy is in the world around us. But what we're looking at is a part of the spectrum that you can't see and that doesn't reflect similar to visible light. And actually all objects have that energy unless they're down at absolute zero, which is negative 273
We haven't gotten there yet. Celsius. So yeah, so everything
everything around us has it. Humans and live beings obviously have a signature, as you can see. My colleague's standing over there, as well as the lights in the ceiling.
Oh, well, now swing it back a little bit over to the left. There's an interesting phenomenon here. So we've got the stack, which all of our hosts see during all of our shows.
Right.
And of course, we've got the preview monitor up the top, and then we've got the chat room down below. But I've noticed something here. I can see the text. I shouldn't be able to see that. I've played with IR cameras before, and the TV always just looks like a blob of heat.
Right. We can show you what's going on there. So if I change to thermal only in the new FLIR One,
this is what I'm used to.
This is what you'll see. And this is just that Lepton camera. And what we've done at FLIR is combined it with our MSX technology to overlay the visible outlines, and then you get information that you wouldn't have gotten. And this is really useful for some of our use cases, like if you're looking at an electrical panel, you can also read the labels.
I am absolutely blown away by this sort of technology. I remember the very first time I saw a FLIR image, it was on the gun pod on an Apache helicopter, and it was night and day. It was literally night and day. They let us put the little helmet on, and it was amazing the kind of detail you could bring out with an infrared system. And back then you would expect a system like that to be in 6-7 figures. Tell me, if I wanted to play with something like this, what would a FLIR One Pro cost me?
Well, FLIR has a long history supporting military consumers or military projects, and we've brought the technology down to the consumer level. So the FLIR One Pro that is about to go on sale is going to sell for $399, and we also have a model, the consumer model, that we've brought down to $199.
Right.
So it's really achieving that goal of bringing this into the hands of the everyday user.
And then the other question has to be, who is this for? Because obviously this is not the camera module you're going to choose to take family photos. It's got a specific use case. It's got a specific purpose. Where do you see the market for a high-quality composited infrared image?
Sure. Well, some of our previous customers have given us feedback that they're using it a lot on their jobs. Folks that are in the trades, like electricians and plumbers, home inspectors, and also do-it-yourself homeowners, those type of folks. So we think it's really valuable for those type of consumers, and they can save you a lot of money by helping you diagnose problems that you wouldn't be able to find otherwise.
Even with the FLIR One, the original that I had, I was doing walkarounds of homes because you can just walk around in the evening and see exactly where heat is leaking. And that was one of those eye-openers. You said, oh my goodness, I knew the windows would be hot, but I didn't realize there was so much hot air being forced out of little cracks. That's invaluable. The other place I've used it is in the data center, because I can walk into a data center, I can look at racks of equipment, and I can realize, you know what? That is so hot, that should be at the top of the rack, not at the bottom, so that the heat doesn't just cascade over to the next unit and the next unit. It's one of these devices, I think, that once you have it in your inventory, it's hard not to use it.
That's right. And we have a lot of products that are higher end for professionals in those use cases. And this is just introducing it to a broader range of consumers that can use it for all of those types of applications. We had a story for one of the team members that were developing this with us. They had a leak in their ceiling around a light fixture. And they explained that they used the FLIR One to investigate it and find that the leak was not there, but it was further back in the ceiling, which of course they couldn't tell. So when their contractor came in to cut the hole, they cut it right where the pipe was leaking instead of over by the light fixture.
I just realized we had a leak in this building when we first moved in. We probably could have used it to figure out what was happening with the temperature gradients in the wall, rather than
because the water was was following.
Actually,
the pipe.
I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
Something else that I've seen is the use of this sort of technology, especially the composited cameras, in aerial drones used for farming.
Yeah, it's a very exciting marketplace for us right now. We've got new products coming out for those drones specifically, but we have seen some folks use the FLIR One.
Yeah, well, this is fantastic. Thank you very much. It's not just an interesting product. It's not just a genre-defining product, but it's just very cool tech, and I know our audience appreciates cool tech. If they wanted to find out more about the FLIR One, more about FLIR itself, more about the technology, maybe even scope out where they can get one, where should they go?
Well, we have all the information on FLIR.com, and we'll be excited to see it going into stores soon.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's infrared technology from FLIR, and boy, it's hot.
Get it? Because
I get it. Yeah.
Tempered.
Right.
Red.
Your jokes are bad and you should feel
should
bad.
Feel bad.
Yeah.
This is actually an incredibly useful module. I use it because I use it in data centers. So what I'll typically do is I'll look at like racks of equipment, and it allows me to see where heat is and where equipment should be located. In fact, let me take a picture right now. There we go. So what I can do is I can take this and it allows me to flip back and forth between the various sensors that we've got. So I've got the regular camera, and then I've got the infrared camera and the conjoined image. I can take this and I go, okay, wait a minute. I've got a couple of heat blooms in this image that concern me. And they're in the wrong side, or Brian, you've got a lot of heat leaking through your vest for some reason.
Your director is seething with heat right now.
Yeah, he is just.
Can you
look
zoom
at him.
in?
Red hot rage.
There's just rage. There's so much rage back there, Brian.
We knew that, though. We didn't need FLIR for
the rage
that.
machine.
White hot.
Really. But look, you also see that, for example, the little Nest camera, the drop cam, that's pretty hot. And then that light up top, that's actually one of the LEDs. I've also used this, and I showed this off on Security Now, and I showed it off last Saturday on New Screensavers. You can use this to read button pushes on like pin pads.
That's bad.
That's bad. I mean, because what will happen is when people press, they're actually putting some of the heat from their finger into that button. It can stay there for several minutes. And what you can do is if you're close enough and you have this on, you can look at which buttons are hot, but then you can also measure how hot they are. And the ones that are the coolest were the ones that were pushed first.
Oh, wow. It's kind of sinister.
It's cool. Honestly, I'm going to notice someone walking behind me.
Right, holding it
with an
like
IR
that.
camera. But yeah,
it's cool that you can do that.
It's an interesting application. So this is one of these pieces of technology that I have found at first, when I first got the original FLIR, it was sort of a novelty. It was like, oh, look at things in infrared, but it's become more and more useful over time. I did not expect that.
No, that's pretty neat. And I think if I were to have one, I would just use it around my house to, well, just to play with, but also like take pictures of my entertainment center maybe and see like how hot is the Xbox getting inside of this confined area, and like maybe help me figure out better ways to ventilate certain areas of like my equipment. Like, maybe I shouldn't have my PC in this corner here. It's not getting a lot of ventilation. Look how much heat it's putting out up against this wall here.
And that's what it's really designed for. But Brian, let's be honest. That's not what you would use it for.
I would take pictures of my dog.
Yes,
all the time.
you would. Exactly. Like, for example, we've got one here. I bet you didn't know that Doges are actually put out a whole lot of heat.
My goodness.
Look at that. Oh, look at that.
The Matrix is making so much sense now.
He's even cuter in infrared.
No wonder robots want all our heat.
Oh, they want our Doges.
That too. Yeah.
Well, Brian, next up, let's move on to another piece of summer technology. Actually, I don't think we've gone a summer the last 3 years without a product from this company. We're going to be taking a look at a new speaker from Fugu. You love them. I love them. They make good stuff, great sounding.
Perfect for pool parties.
Perfect for pool parties. We'll be taking a look at that and other bits of gear. But first, let's take a moment for these messages.
Previously on Twit.
Now you can play with a fidget spinner on your phone or on the internet. There we go. Spins.
This is us when we get a digital fidget spinner.
That's all. Yours wasn't spin?
Spinning it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
No, I'm doing it right.
You're not doing it right.
Security Now.
The UK's Trident submarine fleet is vulnerable to, as The Guardian quoted, a catastrophic cyber attack. All the various support systems are running Windows XP.
We could have just skipped all of that and just say, here's the gobsmacking part. There's a bunch of nukes run by Windows XP.
Tech News Today.
The idea of buying likes or followers isn't new, but Louise Mitsakis from Motherboard recently came upon a photo of a vending machine in a mall that will sell you 100 likes for a mere 50 Russian rubles.
All of the likes and all the followers come from bot accounts. It appears like there's some sort of automated marketing that happens when you use this machine. I definitely would not recommend anybody maybe make a better post.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like a value add to me. you get some extra spam on the back end. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Twit. Tech just like you like it.
Yeah, see? See, we're all doing it wrong, aren't we? You got one spin.
What's wrong with this stupid?
And we're back. Okay, so Brian, this is what started it all for me. This is one of the original Fugus. They had just this for several years. And at the time, I was skeptical because I was invited by the CEO to come to a San Francisco hotel and take a look at a new product that they were developing. And I was thinking, wireless speaker. My gosh, this product category is so full. And you've got everyone from Bose to Harman Kardon to HP playing in it. How could a new company come in and make a dent? What they did was they developed a speaker that was incredibly rugged. I mean, you can go back and look at my Before You Buy review from like 4 years ago.
You were really mean to that thing.
I threw it into the ocean. And not just into the ocean, into a San Francisco beach, like Ocean Beach, which is filled with iron particles.
Which is like the worst thing you could do for it.
It's the death for electronics because you get just a little bit in there and that's it. Everything shorts out. This thing came through in flying colors. I dropped it off the side of a building. I let it roll off the back of my car. The worst thing that happened was that one of these interchangeable sleeves kind of got messed up and ratty. But
the speaker still worked.
The speaker still worked and it was wonderful. It was very high quality. I love the fact that they had the audio in so I could actually hook up a 3.5mm cable rather than just Bluetooth. It lasted for 40 hours on a battery charge and you could use it as a speakerphone.
Right, which I have done because I have one of those very similar. Actually, it's even more heavy duty and I keep it by my computer. And when I set up, I'll hook up my phone, so then when I take calls in my computer room or whatever, I just do it over the speaker.
Right. Well, what Fugu's done over the last couple of years is they've diversified. So the first one they gave us was the XL. It was a large one. It was like a boombox size one. Still waterproof, still very rugged. It was perfect for pool parties. In fact, that's what we played with it with. Then this last year, they kind of exploded. They had the Go, the little the mono speakers that I had that you could pair together. You had the Style. They gave you the Style, which was sort of like this, but at a lower price point. Rather than up to $300.
Yeah, it doesn't have the interchangeable shell, but it's basically indestructible, like metal ends on it and stuff.
Precisely, because what they did was they listened to their users, and the users said, "We like this, but we wish it was louder." So they upped it from like 11 watts to like 15 watts. And then just yesterday, I actually received these. So these are the brand new ones for summer. This is the Style-S.
So does this have the removable sleeve then?
Oh, well, let's find out. This is an unboxing. I haven't played with these at all. Oh my gosh.
I'll just wait and watch you struggle with it.
That's the thing, though. They need to I'm not very good with this, Brian. You know what I need? This
is fun.
I need someone with muscle.
Alex, get over here.
I'm not so big on this packaging. I understand it's blister pack. It's pretty typical, but oh gosh.
Woo! Man, that looked difficult.
Fugu, I'm gonna have to return this in a different box. So. Just FYI. So
but once you get it out,
let's take a look at the overhead. So obviously the Style-S is bigger than the original. So this is the original Fugoo. This is a Style-S. I don't think it uses interchangeable cartridges. So on this one, there's a core unit. Yeah, you can see that. But here's the thing. This thing it's 20 watts. It's about 15 hours of battery life, so it comes down because, of course, you're using a lot more power. 4 drivers. There's 2 47mm full range drivers. There's 2 115mm bass drivers. It's waterproof, IP67. So
not only is it waterproof, it floats.
It floats. It does, right? So you can really use this in the pool. It can be paired like a Fugoo GO. So you can actually take these two, pair them together, and they'll be like a Sonos system, a mini Sonos system.
Nice.
So you
but
can
these aren't mono like the.
No, these are these have multiple speakers, so they're stereo. See, not so easy, is it, Hippo?
It's pretty easy.
Okay, you know what? I loosened it for you because
that must have been it. Because watching you is how I learned how to open it.
I know, right? I know. So it's got a standard. This I do like. So unlike the Go and the original style, I do have a charging port, but I also have the 3.5mm jack. That's kind of an essential for me because there are times where I do not want to be emitting any RF, and that's when I would hook up the 3.5mm.
Okay.
Yeah, this is less than 1.7 pounds. You can go up to about 100-foot range. Let's go ahead and pair this. Let's see if it pairs like the previous Fugoos.
I wonder if it has the voice. Pairing
that's right.
mode.
Let's see. So
I'm using my movie voice. Speaker connected.
Speaker is on.
Speaker is on.
Use the Bluetooth settings on your device to connect.
Wow, I just turned it on. I didn't do anything else. Let's see.
I'll let you pair first.
What will you detect, Bluetooth guy?
Speaker is on. I want to meet the guy that they got to do the voice for this.
There we go.
In a world where a Bluetooth speaker
problem is I already have a Fugoo paired to this. I'm not sure. There we go. Style-S.
Nice.
Come on, pair. Do your thing.
Pairing successful. Connected.
Oh, Brian. Now I think it's time for us to get into some copyright issues, shall we?
It's okay. We can just mute it, right?
How about, no, that was SAO abridged. You know what we need? We need funk.
Need some funk.
Oh, wow, that's loud. That's like half volume. That's really nice.
Better go full volume then. Okay. So then Alex can't yell at us.
Oh, whoa, okay, yeah, we just overloaded the mics.
Woo!
Okay, so this, wow, okay, this is significantly louder than the original.
That's pretty good.
Now, so what they've done is they've basically taken all of the same technology that they built into the original. They've sized it up a little bit. They've increased the size of the drivers so that I can get a bit more volume out of these things.
Yeah.
And then they've given me that ability to have 2 of these paired together so I could put them like on opposite sides of the room.
That's what I was thinking.
What I like about this is they've taken the best from the Go, which I really liked, and the Style, which you really liked, and they've made the Style-S. So this is like combining the 2 products into one.
Pretty cool.
Now, you can get these right now. If you go to Amazon, they'll charge you like $160. But if you go straight to the Fugoo website, they're $140 each.
Nice. And yeah, like you were saying earlier, it's really hard to differentiate yourself in... If there's any industry that's impacted, it's the Bluetooth speaker industry. But I have to say, if you get one of these, I mean, it's gonna last you a while. I've dropped mine. I think I hooked it onto my dirt bike at one point and it fell off. It just rolled around in the mud for a while. And
why do you hurt your tech like that, Brian?
I wanted to listen to tunes while I ride. And it survived. It was cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, there are certain brands that kind of, they get me. They understand what I'm looking for.
Powering off.
And
Speaker
even that,
connected.
I really like, although, hey, Fugoo, I've got a request from my sister. She uses this thing all the time. I gave her one for her birthday. And she said the one thing she wished she could do is maybe use like the USB port and disable the powering on and off voice.
Why?
Because
it grew on me. I like it.
Yeah, but she said the issue is that she'll be at home and like in the middle of the night, it will go powering off because it goes into sleep mode.
Oh, I've never encountered that. The thing that always happens to me is I turn it on or turn it off and my wife thinks that I'm talking to her. Because when I'm at home, I only talk like this. How are you doing? Good to see you again.
That's
what is that?
disturbing.
Is that weird?
No, that's disturbing. right, let's go and move on to another piece of tech. This is actually very low tech compared to the other pieces of gear that we're going to take a look at. Brian, one of the things that we have to watch out for, because we're geeks, is exposure, right?
Yes, to the elements, any elements.
We don't
usually
do sun really well. So what if I told you that there was a piece of tech that I got and I've actually been using over the last couple of months?
100 SPF. Is that it? Sunscreen?
Like something like that.
Oh, okay.
Alex, we have actually got a link for this. This is the Winterial Pop Up Tent. I was looking for something that I could use when I was on a trip with my family. I don't know if you've ever been on a trip with your family, but sometimes you just kind of want a place where like you say, don't bother me when I'm in here.
A little bit of separation.
So I got
somewhere to be alone with your Fugoo speaker.
Exactly, and here it is. Now it's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It looks like one of those light screens that you use.
Right? Yeah, you fold this out and you reflect sunlight onto an image. But let's walk out to this part of the studio, Alex. If you could light us up a little bit. So this works a lot like those sun screens that you see for cars, where you'll just fold them out, right? So what you can do is you take it out of the bag and you unclip it, and then you just go, oh, I want a house.
Boom.
Boom, and that's what you got.
What?
So this will fit 3 children or 2 adults or me.
It'd be a little tight for, I was going to say, for 2 adults, it's a little tight, but...
No, I mean, you remember, you got 2 adults in sleeping bags, and the sleeping bags they're not queen-size sleeping bags.
I like to spread out when I'm in there, though. I'm going in, Padre.
All right.
Going in.
Now, you'll notice that we've got the vents on the side, which, by the way, I discovered that that's not just a comfort thing. If you don't open these up, the entire inside of the tent becomes damp.
Oh, yeah, because the condensation.
All the condensation.
Yeah.
There's also the door flap / the screen flap at the front. This thing does tend to twist up, so if you're going to use it in a windy area, you kind of do have to stake it down.
Oh, right. So it has ropes on the outside.
It does.
Right?
It does. Now, where I used this was kind of weird because my family took a cruise down to the Mexican Riviera, and my parents, I was staying with my parents, and they had a bunk, like they had the nice the king size bed, and I had a little bunk against the wall.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, so I actually took this. I put this on the balcony. I took the mattress from the bunk and I slept on the balcony the entire cruise.
Was it nice?
Oh, it was beautiful. I mean, imagine being out in the ocean, at night you're looking up at the stars, you hear the crashing of the waves. It was probably the best. I'm like, my room's better than yours.
That's pretty cool.
And then, here's my favorite part.
All right.
I don't like setting up and tearing down tents. This is
such a pain.
It is, right?
Especially when you have all the poles and
So
stuff.
one person, what you do is grab this.
So you kind of have to memorize the procedure, right?
Grab this, bring this up like this on the side, and then you just kind of fold it in on itself, like so.
It's just like those car sunscreens.
It is. And then if you could, grab that strap.
Got it.
I'm trying not to rub my mic so it doesn't make a wonderful sound. Where is the strap?
Did I go the wrong way?
I think you went the wrong way. Brian.
I'm so helpful.
Why you hate me, Brian?
No, I want you to prove that this is a one-man job.
There it is. It is a one-man job. You put the strap over itself.
So sorry.
Why would you do that?
Just
I thought we were bros, bro.
I just wanted to see you work for this.
Well, now I am. Hold on. Obviously, the strap got a little too short because someone wrapped it around itself.
Oh, right. Cool. But there we go. And boom, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Now, here's a challenge for our audience. I kind of wish, even if it was just a one-man tent, I wish there was one that would fold up one more time. Because if I could get it to like this size,
half the size of that,
that's something I could keep in my backpack. As it is, not so much.
Well, even though you struggled a little bit because of my help at the end there, that is like 10 times faster than trying to do a normal tent.
Right?
Yeah.
And I actually used it at a music festival in Golden Gate Park. I kind of walked into an open area, and people were starting to set up their tents. I'm like, nope, boom, mine.
My spot.
What?
Yeah, and then you crawl in, you're protected from the sun for a little while. Yeah, I like it.
Now
set up your Fugu inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Start bumping tunes out of it. That's
where it is. Yep. Now, I will say, please help us find a smaller tent, but it has to be an actual tent. Like this can protect from rain and such.
Nice.
There are some that are smaller, but they're basically just like summer day ones.
Right, they don't have the, what was it, the fly catcher or the top that protects you from the rain?
Yeah, so you need that part, otherwise you just end up wet.
Which is not fun. One of the camping trips I do every year, actually it's coming up next month, is Laguna Seca Raceway. Oh. They have the races. And so we set up tents there, which it's super hot during the day, but then at night it gets a little damp, like the fog rolls in. If you don't have one of those covers, you get moist.
Well, you could use the pop-up tent.
Can I take the pop-up tent?
You can take the pop-up tent.
I mean, you're going to be gone for a while.
I'm going to be in Portland. I'm not going to be.
You're going to need the tent in Portland?
Probably not.
All right. I would love to borrow that.
Let's do one more. This is an unboxing. So we've had a lot of laptops on Know-How and before you buy new screensavers all over the Twit TV network. We haven't seen anything from Toshiba in a while.
No.
And so the people from Toshiba reached out. They said, hey, how would you like to show off something that's brand new? In fact, it's still kind of difficult to buy one of these things. This is the Toshiba. This is their Portage X20W-D. This is the highest end version that they have of this particular series. What they've tried to do is this is their ultrabook entry. So this is like the Acer S7 or the HP, what is it, the 360 or whatever they call that thing, or the Lenovo X1.
Okay.
This is their super svelte, right? Their super svelte version. So it's a USB-C powered ultrabook that can also, I believe, double as a tablet. So this is their convertible.
I thought you were going to say double as a tent.
This can also be a tent, because today on Know-How, everything is a tent. Yeah. So actually, that's okay. I kind of like this the size format. So what we're talking about here, this MSRP is for over $2,000, but this is probably going to get down into the $1,600 range. This does look a lot like the Lenovo X1. If you could go and widen up that shot, Brian.
The only giveaway is that it doesn't have the red nub.
Right. It's a 7th gen Intel i7 7600U. That means a 4 megabyte cache. It bursts to 3.9 gigahertz. This thing only weighs, I'm going to say about 2 pounds, probably about 2.4 pounds. Yeah, lighter even than the X1 or a Spin 7.
Is that a fingerprint sensor?
I think so. I believe that's what that is. It does have 16 gigabytes of memory, but it's not upgradable. So it's LPDDR3. It's got a 256 gigabyte PCIe attached SSD, so that's even faster than the SATA 3. It's a 12.5 inch 1080p. This is a 16 by 9 inch touchscreen.
Nice.
And port-wise, a little bit limited. So.
Well, that's to be expected on something this thin.
Yeah, they've got the combo audio port, plus they've got 2 USB ports. One is USB-C.
That looks like USB-C right there.
Right, which does
Headphone
data,
jack.
power, display, Thunderbolt 3, as well as the alternate modes. And on this side is a standard USB 3 port. That's,
Oh, yeah, okay.
There we go. So that's not bad. It's a magnesium alloy case. I mean, feel this. It is actually kind of nice and light.
Super light.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it's got a nice, what is this, aluminum on here? Aluminum.
Yeah, aluminum combined with Gorilla Glass for the sensor.
Yeah.
Now they've also included this for the people who want to be doing Surface Book type stuff. They include a stylus, Brian.
What?
Yeah, they're saying it's Wacom-like, which I'm not sure if that means they've licensed Wacom's technology or they just sort of imitated it. But this is a powered stylus, so you do need to have a battery inside of it to make it work properly.
That's pretty normal.
Yeah, that's kind of normal. The other thing about this, it's got Harman Kardon speakers, so they paid a little bit of attention to the sound. It's got a 16-hour, 3-cell, 44-watt-hour lithium poly battery, a 3-year warranty. I'm impressed. The price does seem a bit high because I can get some decent ones for considerably less, but
it is an i7,
it is
16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of SSD, so that's pretty on par.
Yeah, I mean no, I'm not saying it's a bad price. I'm just saying it's going to be on the higher end.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to measure this up yet. I'm not sure if it's a higher end notebook. One of the other things that I kind of like about this is the styling. Too many notebooks, in my opinion, have done away with some functionality in order to give you this sort of edge-to-edge look. And that looks nice, but it doesn't end up feeling right after you've used it for a while. This is sort of a executive notebook. It's designed to be nice and tough. That's the magnesium case. The screen doesn't go all the way to the edge, which means it's not going to crack
Right, if
at
you
the
drop
first
it.
sign of a bump.
Falls out of your backpack.
Yeah, and this keyboard, I mean, feel this. This is probably the stiffest keyboard I've ever tried in an ultrabook. There's normally a little bit of give, a little bit of push. This one just feels solid.
Oh yeah, totally. Huh, that's pretty cool.
So not bad, not bad.
I kind of like how the styling of it is, it's very subdued. There's not a lot of frills, there's not like a lot of extra stuff. It's just like, this is business
I'm
here.
okay with that though.
And backlit keyboard, which
yeah,
is,
backlit keyboard.
Once you go backlit, you don't go back.
IPS screen, so it's a 1080p. I have a notebook in my lab right now. It's the Razer with a 4K.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I love it. It's beautiful. But I don't really use it.
Well, we've looked at a lot of 4K laptops before, and I feel like when they're this screen size, you don't notice the difference.
Yeah.
Like between 12 and 14 inches, if it's 4K, it could be 1080 and it's pretty close, especially if you're like a foot to 2 feet away when you're looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if I could get, how fast can I get this up? I mean, obviously it's going through all the Windows 7 setup, but there's a, there's the
Windows
battery.
10, I hope.
Oh, sorry, Windows 10. You're going to need the creator update because you're definitely going to want to use the stylus on this. I'm wondering if this might be a decent computer for students who are looking to do drafting. I know your brother's big into that.
Yeah, Greg.
Didn't he get a Surface? No, he got an iPad. He got the iPad.
Well, yeah, he got the iPad Pro because it was kind of given to him from, I think, Leo's old one. Which was very generous, but that's what he's used primarily for his drawing. But I've been using the Surface for a while now, the Surface 4 Pro for drawing in Windows, and I like it a lot.
I think there's only one person in this entire studio who doesn't have a Surface.
Who would that be? Me. Why do you need a Surface?
I don't. I really don't. No.
Well, you probably will have to go in and then
we probably should do this part just to...
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it did that,
does
too.
Convert, so it is a tablet. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And it can be a tent.
There you go. Tent.
Little
Everything
tent.
is a tent, folks.
Just put my hand in there. Nice. This is perfect.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to try to take a closer look at this, but off the cuff, I have to say, you know what? This is actually kind of nice.
I like it.
I do want to make sure that it's got the performance that I'm looking for, but if this is actually a 7th gen Core i7 with 16 gigabytes of memory, this is probably going to perform pretty snappily compared to the ultrabooks I've been using.
Yeah, I'm impressed at how light it is in this little form factor. It's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Subdued styling, but it's growing on me actually.
Yeah. So there you have it. Again, that's the Toshiba Portege, the X20W-D. This is the PRT13-U049004 model.
Wait,
Seriously.
no.
Okay, this is not just Toshiba. Everyone, Acer, Dell, HP, stop making your model names so ridiculous.
X20W-D40. No.
And I get it, because there's always different models, because there's some that you sell online, there's some that you sell at retail, but it gets really, really hard. Just call it the X20, or this is just the S7, and then you can say like the 2016 or the 2017 model.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask for?
Well, it's so silly. It's like this very nondescript looking machine, and they have just like a serial number name for it.
K7-Y. Thank you very much. Folks, when we come back, we're going to take another sneak peek at some tech of summer. This one is a little different because it encourages you to get inside, outside.
All right, sure.
Yeah, exactly. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a moment for these messages.
This week, most SKUs of the new Surface Pro will ship along with the Surface laptop. The Surface Pro starts at $800 and goes as high as $2,700. And keep in mind, that does not include any accessories. The new Surface Pro looks a lot like the old Surface Pro, but according to Microsoft, there are about 800 new parts inside. Sony has some new hardware coming out this week. The XZ Premium was announced back in February at Mobile World Congress, but it only becomes available for pre-order on June 12th, and you'll have to wait until June 19th for the unlocked version. The XZ Premium has a 5.5-inch 4K screen and a camera that captures slow-motion 720p and 960 FPS video. Like the new Surface Pro, the XZ Premium also starts at $800. And for all you gamers out there, this week is the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or E3, which already started on Saturday. We expect to see new Star Wars games from EA and a new Wolfenstein game from Bethesda, and of course, the new console from Microsoft, codenamed Project Scorpio. We might even see a price drop from PlayStation to compete with Microsoft's offering. That is just a few of the stories we'll be following this week. Jason Howell and I are here covering the tech news every day, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific. Back to you.
And we are back. Okay, so Brian, a while back, we were in New York for the World Maker Faire.
That was a while ago.
That was a lot of fun now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was.
One of the things that I was immediately attracted to was there was a tiny home demonstration in the middle of one of the pavilions. And I've been big on the tiny home movement for a while. It's just this whole idea of why is it that we all live in, 40, 50, 100 square feet houses when most of us don't use up that space.
Right. I think what I like about the compact mini homes and things like that is the utilization of that small space. Like the things that you're able to do in that small space, like the things that you have to do, like sliding the bed into a wall or like having a kitchen door that like opens up into like another room. It's pretty cool.
And one of the things I've really liked about that is there's a lot of stories, there's images, there's videos of people taking a tiny home and putting it into the middle of like a forest or in the middle of a field.
Well, like reducing your footprint.
Absolutely. But there was one tinker, one inventor at World Maker Faire from MIT, I believe, who actually had the opposite idea. They said, well, if you can't take a tiny home into nature, what if you could take nature into the middle of a city? What if you could have like a parklet? What if you could take a tiny world and put it into the middle of a city so that people actually had an experience of greenery?
That would be pretty cool.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the tiny home forest. Maker Faire is the intersection between technology and so many different disciplines. In this particular case, it's nature. I'm speaking with Kim, who designed this parklet trailer nature thing. What exactly do you call this?
It's everything from a mobile trailer park, mobile parklet, park trailer, parking day. We've got everything. We've got the tiny house movement, takes a little piece of this, so we've got an aquaponic pond. I love permaculture. I've got a micro veggie patch. So there's a little bit of everything going on in this mobile parklet. So a little bit of everything.
I'm so happy that you mentioned the tiny house movement because I've been taken by that. I love that idea of, well, can you simplify your life? Can you get it down into a small space? Can you get rid of everything you don't need? And this is a great concept, something that you can roll up into a literally into a parking space in the middle of a crowded city like San Francisco or New York and have a little bit of peace, a little bit of green. What went into creating this space?
So this is actually the second version of a trailer park that I've made, and this is a more compact version, like you said, inspired by the tiny house movement. So what I did was I actually built retaining planter beds that hug the perimeter of the space. We've got bench seating in the middle, and actually the way that this is weighted and how this is all designed, it's extremely agile and portable. So it just takes two people to lift it up and move it around, and you can actually turn it into a 360-degree circle and put it wherever you need it to be, just with human power. So that's a definite advantage. And as you can see, I'm able to jam pack a lot of different living species and living environments and different types of living planted material in here. Like I mentioned, the aquaponics, but then I also have a more traditional veggie patch, but this one is a mini veggie patch, so it's only mini vegetables that I'm going to be growing in here to sort of represent the theme. So,
and of course, this is not designed to be a sustainable food source. It's designed to be a quiet space that just happens to have a lot of nature. But I could see something like this because we've done shows on our network. We have a DIY show. We did a series called Grow How, which was showing people how the basics of planting, and we're starting to get into aquaponics. Exactly. This is the kind of thing where I could see that project heading to. Where do you want to take this next? So this is your second version. What does the third version have in store?
I think the third version might actually start to allow some technology to incorporate, because as technology is growing, it's recognizing the permaculture movement, it's recognizing that urban, organic, urban farming initiative. And so now what you have are a lot of technologies that are about plant care, recognizing things like humidity, soil, nutrients, how the plants are doing, if they're happy or not, based upon a lot of different different aggregated data. So you can even essentially, what I would like to do next is get, you can get a portable AccuWeather station, attach it to the top of the trailer, and then you actually have real data that you're gathering about the weather outside of the trailer park and the conditions of the air and the moisture and the atmosphere, as opposed to what you're actually experiencing inside the trailer, and really looking at the differences created between a sort of a saturated, natural, oxygenated environment where you're the human surrounded by the nature, as opposed to being outside where there is nature, but you're not necessarily able to have that intimate, one-on-one, direct nature experience where you're really getting the oxygen, you're putting your hands in the soil, you're getting the nutrients, you're getting that sort of like micro living experience where you see the small insects and you see the little shoots of all of the growing little sprouts coming out and little surprises everywhere inside of these beds that grow wild, essentially. So.
Well, thank you for this. Thank you for this creation. This is definitely the spirit of Maker. If they wanted to find out more about your project, more about where you might be heading, more about you, where can our audience go?
Well, my name is Kim Holloman. I'm one lone artist, and I do a lot of different things, but you can look up anything that I'm doing on my website at kimholloman.com.
Kim, an absolute pleasure and an honor. Thank you again for sharing your vision. And folks, the future is not a trailer park. It's a park in a trailer.
Yeah, what I did with that, because
right, park in a trailer, not a trailer in a park.
It's clever. Yeah.
Oh boy,
tough crowd here, folks. Really, really tough crowd. Now, this is more than just a curiosity for me. I mean, this is something that I found a while back, the tiny house movement, and you know, one of the things that really kind of brings me to it is this idea of interdependence. The way that we build up our lives in the United States, and actually across most of the Western world right now, is we want to be in a spot where we don't ever have to ask for help for anything. We want to be completely self-sufficient, which is nice, except that's kind of unobtainable, really, for most of us. You'll never be 100% self-sufficient. The tiny house movement is, look, you build up your little space, you make it as efficient as possible, and then you count on the community to be able to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a cool little space that she was able to make in there. And I mean, I have a hard enough time getting plants to grow in the outside, let alone grow inside of a little trailer.
Yeah, it's more than just putting a bunch of dirt in a trailer and dropping in some seeds.
Calling it a day.
Now, there is actually a group that I'm a part of on Google+. It's really good if you've ever wanted to find information about the tiny home movement. Alex, if you go ahead and go to the site.
So tiny.
Yeah, so you know, if you scroll through these, you get to see different people's ideas of what an ideal tiny home will look like. And they even have Airbnb tiny homes right now. But I mean, some of these are
cool.
100 square feet all the way up to like 450 square feet.
Now that's a cool place to put a tiny home in a tree.
And you know, some of this is just like, it brings out the kid in me, but there's another part that's saying, yeah, you know what? It's a challenge. Can
wait. Scroll back up. Sorry, Padre.
The windmill?
I'm just saying, like, is that a tiny home or is that just a really big wheel?
I think, yeah, but hey, look, the people who are going to do tiny homes, they're going to want something original. They're going to want something different.
That's not a home.
Well, no, some
that was
people
a space shuttle.
Some people are going for super sci-fi, like exotic materials, and other people, their big thing is we use all recycled materials. I've seen tiny homes built with nothing but materials that they've torn out of demos.
Okay. See, the ones I find fascinating are like in Tokyo or something, where you like walk in and everything's in its own compartment that you kind of slide out. Like you have a closet, but it slides out and has all your clothes hanging.
Right. One of the tiny home enthusiasts tried to explain it to me like this. He said, most of us will spend most of our lives paying for a house that's too big because we needed a place to put stuff that we don't need, because we think we need to be more efficient at a job that we need to pay for the house and all the stuff we don't need.
Yeah.
So once you commit yourself to going tiny, that goes away. It now becomes, well, hey, you know what? I don't have to work 12 months out of the year. I can work 2 months out of the year to pay for what I need, and then I can spend the other 10 months doing what I want.
Right, and when you think about shrinking something like a home down like that, you decrease the amount of energy you need to spend to heat it. You just decrease the amount of money that you need to light it. You know, so there's all these things that you can maximize if you use the space that you have more efficiently.
Right, and I should note that living in a tiny house is not the same as living in an RV. There's different kinds of living. I mean, a tiny home is a small house that you can move to a different place. An RV is designed to move from place to place to place.
I don't know why they would have to be mutually exclusive, though.
No.
Why not throw some wheels on all these tiny homes?
A lot of them do. They're built on trailers. That's how you get past some of the permitting, because if it's on a trailer, you don't need a permit to put a thing down. Also, like in California, if it's 100 square feet or less, it's a shed, not a house.
Okay, and so then you have to pay less, or the codes are different?
You don't have to pay. Yeah. So, like for example, if you wanted to build a tiny house on your property and it's on less than 100 square feet, you need no permits.
It would be kind of neat to have a little like getaway house on your property too.
But can you turn it from a getaway house to, well, everything I need is actually in here?
That's the question. Yeah.
Because I mean, Turbs takes up like 50 square feet by himself. Your dog
For
is pretty
such a small dog, his hair just explodes everywhere. He finds all the available
You're going to be late for a know-how. I'm going to have to go to your place. I'm knocking on your door, open it up, and it's just a solid wall of hair. And I hear Brian in the back going, I can't find the door.
I can't even breathe anymore. Yeah, that dog. He's a small dog, but I don't know how he would do in a tiny home, because he likes to spread out. He likes his big couch. He takes up as much space as he possibly can.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you want to find out more about tiny homes or Brian's dog or any of the products that we took a look at, or say the FLIR camera.
That's a tiny home.
That's a tiny home. What you need to do is you need to go to our show notes, because we've got links and some of the detailed descriptions of the stuff that we talked about on this episode. Brian, where did they find that?
You can find that over at twit.tv/KH, and not only will you find links to the things that we talked about, but you'll also find a way to download the episode. And if you haven't already, subscribe.
Yeah, please do, because that's probably the best way to support the show. If you can subscribe so you get every episode of Know How, and if you could share word of the show with all the people who you think might enjoy what we talk about, again, go to twit.tv/KH. Of course, that's not the only place you're going to find us. You're going to find us on the socials, specifically on Google+. If you go to Google+ and look for Know How, there's a very short joining process so we can keep out the spam accounts. But once you're in, you have access to over 11,000 Kitas. Those are our know-it-alls. People who are at every stage of the maker DIY journey, from the beginner to the expert. Come on in, answer a couple of questions, ask a couple of questions, or please show us pictures and videos of your projects so we can show them off here on Know How.
That's right, but if you want to see what projects we're working on when we're not on the show, the best place to do that is on Twitter, and you can follow me at cranky_hippo.
And you can find me at Padre SJ, and you can find the third member of our crew, who is the person who makes sure everything works properly. He is our director. Mr. Boris. I think his name's Boris. We call him Boris, right? Like B-Dog.
He loves
He loves B-Dog. He's big on B-Dog. You can find B-Dog at twitter.com/ANELF3.
Excuse me, Padre. It's Alex.
That's like Boris.
Dog.
Alex. Oh, sorry. Forgot to bleep that out. That's my bad.
Brian, can you bleep that out in the
please? That was disturbing. I can't believe you said that. And now nobody will really know what you said, because I will bleep that.
Until next time, I'm Father Robert Balasaire.
And I'm Brian Burnett.
And now that you know how,
go shrink things for summer. We're coming back around, right? Shrinking. It's like summer is where we started, though. Right?
I heard the wheels turning.